All right, people. Hey, it's Jackson Galaxy, live from the Cat Cave, although I gotta say it's a little uncavish in here. If you have noticed, in the Cat Cave, we have all the catty stuff going on here. I had to move from that room to this room for technical difficulties beyond my control, but it's pretty spiffy in here. And since we're in here, we get to say hi to Pishi. Hi, Pishi. Welcome to the Cat Cave. I can't believe I just did that. Anyhow, without further ado, let me introduce Molly Fosco from the Animalist Network. She's a producer over there, and she's going to be helping us moderate today. You're going to be the voice of moderation.
Hi, Jackson. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here today. Very excited. Yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff we're going to be doing today. Once again, we're going to be taking live questions from some of your fans. They'll be joining us live on camera.
Sweet.
We're also going to be taking some questions submitted throughout the Hangout, so if you're watching at home right now, make sure to send us your questions on Jackson's YouTube page or on the event page. We will get them, and they have a very good chance of being selected for me to read out loud for Jackson to answer. And then make sure you stick around all the way to the end, because at the end we're going to give away another Cat Mojo swag bag. Tons of fun stuff in there, including, what did you show me earlier, Jackson, that we added to the bag?
Would you like me? Can I show it? You want me to show it? All right,
yeah.
Here we go, folks. Let me just, as many of you have mentioned, who have watched the first episode this season and who can pretty much see me right now, yeah, I've lost a lot of weight. This is one of the shirts from season, I think 2, 3, and 4. Like, I think I'm wearing this shirt in the poster for the series. As you might or might not be able to tell, you can fit me and Molly in this shirt now. We've actually attempted that, and it worked really well. So you can have this shirt. I'm gonna sign it. I'm gonna give it to you guys. Whoever wins today gets my fat shirt. How you like that?
Yeah, and also I believe it's going to be a bottle of the Stress Stopper Remedy, which is one of the best-selling things from your Spirit Essences line on your site.
Yeah, yes. Stress stoppers are all around, sort of bring you back in your skin when things are a little anxious in the house. Can be applied as many times in the day as you want. It is a holistic remedy, which it's funny because a lot of people are like, "Ooh, you guys are so woo-woo-y," and so it's been around for 150 years. It's a modality that has helped me tremendously in my work. And Stress Stopper, I've been using it for 15 years with my animals and with my clients' animals. Now you guys get to try it as well. Put it in food, put it in water, apply it topically to the skin. You know, very easily done, and notice the difference. I think you will.
Awesome. Cool. Well, before we get started with some questions, you want to give us some updates on My Cat from Hell? The new season just premiered, right?
Yeah, I mean, My Cat from Hell, yeah, premiered on Saturday. Did some bang-up numbers. People were watching this show. It's fantastic, and I think what's even nicer is that from the social media perspective, things were pretty outrageously fun. I mean, I was live tweeting during that show. By the way, I'll be doing that the first couple of weeks of the season, so you can catch me again live tweeting pretty much on all of the time zones in the States, but catch me. And what you want to make sure you do is hashtag MyCatFromHell or Team Cat Mojo or just hashtag meow, and one way or another, I will be following all 3 of those conversations, and you'll be able to get a hold of me. And people did, record numbers. So that was a lot of fun. It was a good time. And this season, we're traveling to Austin, Boston, San Diego, Portland, and LA. Being able to follow this story. Everyone was kind of psyched. The premiere, we got to see the 2 Savannahs, Morello and Darwin, and their what do you call it? Parachuting guardian, Jacques, and that was a good time. So that was, I mean, it's a lot of fun right now. We are having a ball, just being able to share it with people finally. You got to remember, folks, we were taping this starting about 6 months ago, and we just wrapped. So it's exciting to finally see the fruits of our labor on the screen. I want to hear your feedback, by the way. See what you guys think about what you're watching and what you think I could be doing. So.
Cool, cool. Well, I think we are ready to take our first on-air question.
Better be good.
Yeah. So up first we have Susie, and Susie is joining us all the way from Honolulu, Hawaii, which is awesome. I wish I was in Hawaii right now.
Yeah, hi.
There she is. Hi, Susie. Can you hear it? There she is. Cool. Susie, what is your question for Jackson?
I noticed you have a lot of tattoos, and I'm in love with tattoos. I know I really don't have any, but what is your favorite tattoo, and what's the meaning behind it?
Well, I want to know what's the meaning behind the fact that you love tattoos so much and you don't have any.
I don't have a whole lot of time, and I was in the Army for 5 years.
Oh, are you not allowed
so
to have
busy.
tattoos in the Army?
Yeah, I was an NCO in the Army, so.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone gets tattoos in the Army or in the Navy.
I was
Or
so
is that
busy.
illegal?
My work hours started at 5 a.m. and ended usually around 7 in the evening.
Ugh. Yeah, that's nasty. Okay, well, now I forgot the question. What about tattoos?
What's your favorite tattoo that you have, and what's the meaning behind it?
You know, it's really hard for me to pick out because, again, you know, if you look at me, there's not a place where one tattoo begins and one ends. I got to say, I've got one, actually. My favorite one has to be, see if I can get it here, this one right there. Let's try to get this camera. You can see this is right here. That is the face of Valoria, who is one of the loves of my life. She's still with us, of course. She's 23 now. And now you can see how Valoria turns into a fish. So she's not a catfish, a fish cat. And I do have a fish cat on this arm as well, but that's just sort of a random fish cat. And this is Valoria the fish cat. And it's, of course, special to me because it's my friend. So it has a lot more significance to it. You know, as for the rest of my tattoos, they all have significance. They all remind me of a certain time and place. And speaking of the devil, look, there she is. There she is in real life, and there she is in tattoo life. Real tattoo. Real tattoo. Oh, I'm going backwards. Oh, my love. And, oh, yes. Okay. And she's gone. As soon as she came, okay, so, but they all have meaning. But I got to tell you the truth. You know, when I was young, when I was in my early 20s and I just started getting tattooed, I was like, I like you. Why don't you draw on me? You know, and I'd be like, I like cats. Draw a cat. I was very into like being canvas for artists. So the upshot of that is that a lot of this is cover-up work because the guy who originally tattooed me absolutely sucked. And yeah, so there was that. And that's called living and learning and growing up. But looking forward to getting some more. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, Susie. It was a great question.
Thanks, Susie.
Yeah, we're gonna take one of our comment submitted questions next. This question is coming from a user named Nimbo Nico. He wants to know, Jackson, he says, my cat has bald belly syndrome. What are some tips to stop the obsessive-compulsive overgrooming?
Yeah, it's really kind of difficult, man. I mean, the first thing and the first suspect I look for is allergies. And you may say to yourself, well, you know, or to me, Jackson, you might say, my cat has never had allergies before. Why would my cat suddenly have allergies? We don't know why we develop allergies to things, but we do. And the most common suspect is food. That there's something in their food they're allergic to is making them pull their hair out. Now, and what you do basically there, it's a big pain in the neck, but you have to conduct a food trial, an allergy food trial, where for about 8 to 10 weeks you feed just what we call a novel protein. Novel protein would be something in the realm of rabbit or ostrich or even duck or something like that. A meat that you're not going to find in run-of-the-mill cat food. And you've got to find a diet where there's only one protein, one veg, and they're just novel protein and veg. And that's the way to find out if your cat has an allergy. It's a pain. You got to find a flavor they like. If you have other cats, they got to like it too. But it's the best way to find out. There's also animal allergy specialists and dermatologists, and you can go to them as well. Now, once that's ruled out, then you got to start looking at the stress level in your house. Cats are no different from the rest of us. I mean, we have self-soothing mechanisms. We bite our nails, or we smoke cigarettes, or we eat, comfort eating. And, suddenly we're like, hey, I gained 25 pounds. How'd that happen? It happened probably because you were pretty stressed out. So has anything changed in your home? Is there anything that you think, well, wait a minute, she started chewing here. If you take a look at the cat journalism episode that we just did, and we have the second installment of that coming up, that's the whole point. The point is step away from the emotion of that moment of saying my cat is bald, and say, well, okay, what's the story? Just the facts, just the facts. What could have caused the stress? Where did you change your diet? Stuff like that. That's where to start. Yeah.
We actually have a related question next, speaking of kind of environment changing and stressing out the cat. This is from Tony Nicholson. She says, we're getting ready to do some home updates, having workers in the house, and I worry about how this will affect Abby, assuming Abby is her cat.
I know Tony and I know Abby. Hello, Tony. Hello, Abby. What was the end of that question?
Oh, any suggestions for helping a cat cope with having workers, strange people in the house?
Well, I mean, first of all, Tony, you want to make sure that you scope out places in the house that are kind of off limits, that are kind of safe zones. If there's a base camp that you can establish, and a lot of times it's the master bedroom, and during the day your cats hang out in the master bedroom, and they have everything in there that they need. Their favorite beds, their favorite, their litter box, their toys, their things that smell like you. Of course, having it be the master where your bed is there helps a ton. It's not a crime to remove cats from social situations that are going to make them nervous. So if you know where the construction is going to be, you know how guys are going to be coming in and out of the house. That's the other thing. You don't want Abby just like running out. Because a lot of times cats under duress, when they run out like that, also tend to get lost. So I would just confine her to her own space. Speaking of spirit essences, as we were before, it's a perfect opportunity to use something like Stress Stopper or some of the other formulas that we have. But Stress Stopper is a real good one, just to keep her mellow. And then the last thing I'll tell you is try to keep her routines as same from one day to the next. Just because you have workers over there doesn't mean that you do your midday play session with her or you feed her on time. You make sure that her routine is somewhat not interrupted, because that's how cats define stability to a large degree.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Great. Well, we are going to go to another live question.
Live?
Yeah. The next person we have is Dominic, and he is actually joining us all the way from London, across the pond.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, right? There's Dominic. Hi, Dominic.
Hi there, how are you?
What's up, Dominic?
Hi, Jackson.
What's your question for Jackson?
I have two Bengal brothers. They're just coming up to 3 years old.
We can see them right there in the background.
Yeah, we can see them.
Which one is that?
Well, that's Gilly. That's the biggest of the two. George is woken up now as soon as we've come on. But it's like well past their bedtime over here. But yet they can't decide which of them is the top cat in the hierarchy. George tends to be the most dominant most of the time, but then after a week or so, Gilly decides he's had enough of it, fights back, bosses them around, and then they start to mark each other's sleeping spots, urinating on the sofas, on the carpet, on bits of furniture, and it settled back down for a week or so, and we can't figure out how to maintain one cat's dominance over the other, or should we do that?
Yeah, I was going to say that it's an interesting question. Now, first, of course, I just have to get this part out of the way. These guys neutered?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank God. Okay, so let's just start right there. That's good. But this is, this is what filial, what F are they?
F5 or F6. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, so they're far enough away, but this is the thing that we kind of. You have two males in the house, two Bengals, two hybrids. This is the kind of thing that we wind up dealing with. I don't think. Listen, I'm not a big believer in alpha cat. I don't believe that one cat establishes dominance and keeps that dominance. A lot of times in a multi-cat household, I'll have a character I call the corrections officer. And the corrections officer is that one cat, sort of a benevolent dictator who goes around the house, lights out, that kind of thing. And come on, turn it down, move your butt out of that window, and, moving on, and we tend to have that character, but it's not dominant. Now, when you have two males that are Bengals, dominance games tend to take place. This isn't that unusual. How long does the peeing last?
Probably it's one occasion, and then we have dry spells for about 7 or 8 days. So it's only over one day.
Is it usually one of them the other? Who?
It's mostly George who is the most dominant of the two. I think he reacts to being.
Yeah, the one thing that I've worked with cats that are sort of, I call him the Napoleon cat, right? The Napoleon cat is the over-owner, right? And George is an over-owner. He's like, I'm not secure in the fact that I own the joint, so I'm going to piss on your stuff to say I own the joint, tag graffiti style on the wall. And what we can do for him there is assure him that there is a hierarchy and he is top cat, even though that's a huge lie. But he never has to know that, right? He never has to know that we're faking the hierarchy, right? So what you want to do is, when it's feeding time, do you free feed these guys or do you feed meals?
I free feed during the day, but they're only on dry food. They've never gone on to wet food. No, free food. I put the food down at 8 in the morning and then put it away again at 10 at night.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things that you can do to affect some change in the house. Here's the thing that you can. I'm a big believer that feeding meals really gives you a behavioral leg up that you don't have otherwise. Case in point, here, where you have an opportunity during mealtime to show George he's top cat. You feed him first, then you feed the other cat, and you just want to make sure that you can do that with him. Meals do that, right? Meals also make it that, for instance, if you wanted to play with them before the meal time, so you can get that energy expelled, you can do that, and then feed afterwards. And the other thing is, when you think about how important the mealtime feeding is, there is predictable cycles of how energy kind of erupts in the house, and that's based on how they're digesting food, who's in the home, what time of day it is, that kind of thing. If they're constantly in a state of digesting, then we don't have grips on when that energy goes up. So, for instance, think about this. What time do you usually get home at night?
6.
Okay, so you get home at 6. If you were feeding them meals, you get home, they are hungry. They are locked onto you for attention. You not only get to assert this hierarchy for them, but you get to predict that they're going to go like this, come up, you feed, you can do play, down they come, and it's predictable. And as their energy rises and falls together, you don't have to worry about these, because part of it is hierarchy, part of it is that one of them is bitchy. You know what I'm saying? Is that someone just having a bad damn day, and they're taking it out on the other one. And we all know what that feels like, and nobody wants to be hungry and competing for resources and whatever. So I know it sounds really weird, but I would consider mealtime feeding. It's healthier for them. You don't have to worry about them starving during the day. If there's a wet food that they really dig eating, they're going to plow it down, get exactly what they need, move on, and it makes their energy much more predictable. You can also, I know this is a really long answer, but it's a great question, you can also reinforce hierarchy during play. If you're using interactive toys and you're having them chase prey around the house, you can reinforce that. one of the things that you can do is separate them during play. Give them each a couple of minutes by themselves.
Yeah. Okay,
Cool.
thank you. That's great.
That's a great answer. Long one, but very informational.
Molly?
I just have to ask you, Dominic, what time is it in London?
It's 20 past midnight.
Midnight. Wow, that's
Yeah.
dedication for Jackson Galaxy. Cool. Well, yeah, thank you so much.
Fills me full of energy.
What was that?
Fills me full of mojo, you know?
Yes.
There we go, baby.
God bless.
Bye-bye. Great. We are going to move on to another comment submitted question. And I'll just warn you right away, it's a little bit of a heavy topic, but it's a great question. This is from Roseanne Fiore. She says, my oldest kitty Max passed away last week, and my 2 younger cats are acting unusual. Max BFF, Lydia, is sad, sleeps more than usual, and is gnawing on the furniture, which she hasn't done for years. Mason, not such a great buddy, also seems sad. He's acting out and pushing things off tables and counters. How can we help our grieving kitties?
Yeah, I mean that's I feel for you guys. I mean there is nothing like what losing an animal feels like. It's people who don't have animals in their life have no idea what we're talking about. But it is a kind of grief and a kind of a hole left in you that we can't really describe well. So my prayers to you guys. Now for the guys that are left behind. Here's the thing. I mean, I like the fact that you use the term grieving because it's exactly what it is, and we all have our own way of doing it. Acting out through pushing stuff off tables is one way. Retreating, becoming less social is another way. What can you do as their guardian to get them through it? You just get them through it. You know that it's a process, just like if you had that process, and you do what you can to get them moving through it. I always butcher this line, but it's Winston Churchill who said, if you're in hell, keep walking. Just make sure that you're moving through the process and you don't get stuck. Animals are supremely qualified in doing that. They don't have the whole thought process that we have that hangs us up in memory. These guys are always moving forward. So, again, and I'm sorry, what was our commenter's name?
Roseanne.
Roseanne, the biggest thing for you is to get through your grieving. You are looking at your cats and being reminded of your loss. And you have to remember that in order to ask your cats to move through their process, you've got to move through yours. And it is so awful, and I know it is. But I encourage you to put your attention on the ones that are living and their routines. Lydia is reacting in a way that we can do nothing about. We can just be there for her. Your boy, on the other hand, get him involved in play in a directed way. If he's knocking things off tables, maybe your older one was giving him an energetic outlet that he doesn't have anymore, and now you got to pick up that slack. And also, when you pick up that slack by initiating play, by doing more activities with him, you're also taking that place of the other cat too. Remember, when someone leaves a cat's social structure, in some way, shape, or form, chaos will erupt. And all you can do is walk through it. The other thing I was going to tell you, again, this is turning into episode spirit essences, but this is one of those things that we use spirit essences for, both stress stopper. There's another formula called trauma-free that has worked really well for cats suffering sort of a post-traumatic thing, like if the grieving is going on for quite a while. Those two are the formulas I would take a look at.
Mm-hmm. Great, yeah, that's a good answer. We're going to go to another live question. Next up, we have Kim. Kim is joining us from Los Gatos, California, which isn't Los Gatos, doesn't that mean cats in Spanish?
Yes, it does.
Yes,
It does. You're outside like San Diego, that area, right?
We are up about 60 miles south of San Francisco.
That's what I meant.
In the Bay Area.
Same thing, yeah. How can I help you today?
So my question is, more of a people behaving badly question where I have a feral colony in San Jose, actually, and a church moved into the area where my ferals are, and they want them gone. And I've tried to open up communication with them, but they just don't want to hear anything. They just want me to take these cats home. They don't understand that I can't just trap all these ferals and take them home.
You know, what I find so unsettling is, of all places, it's a church.
I know, and that bothers me as well.
Of all places to say, please be a little compassionate
Yep.
to a sentient being, it's a church. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, man, I would take this to the media. Just saying. No, but I mean, I don't, you know, making a ruckus about it doesn't help, really. You're in a rock and a hard place. Hey, listen, 60 miles south of San Francisco?
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? If you will give Molly your info,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can hook you up with somebody, because you know, I'm pretty hooked in with the feral community in San Francisco,
Okay.
both the cats and the humans, and good friends of mine work with a lot of the municipalities, and I hope that that's what we can do. Otherwise, it's about continuing education. It's about finding a sympathetic ear in that place. It's about saying, you are the voice of compassion. You are dooming these animals to be dead. And I mean, it's hard for me to be rational or, you know, just have intellectual thought about this, because I just think it's really sad. And by the way, I'm so thankful to you for what you're doing and for taking care of those guys, and we're hoping to create more and more communities that support TNR, that support our community cats, and you know, I'm thankful to you for flying that flag.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us, Kim.
Thank you.
Thanks. Cool. Okay. Well, while we are, okay, here we go. We have another comment question we're going to go to. This is coming from a user named AutumnFalls89, and her question is, I'm working at a no-kill shelter, and sometimes we get filled to capacity and beyond. During those times, cats tend to get cranky and more fights break out. Do you have any tips for mitigating fights in a shelter environment? Is there anything I can do to encourage a calmer atmosphere, perhaps? And she used hashtag TeamCatMojo, so props to Autumn Fall for using that hashtag.
I wish there was like a hand signal I had for cat, like, you know, like this is kind of stupid. This is kind of asking a trucker to honk their horn.
Right.
Kind of the Honolulu thing.
Yeah.
I wish I had kind of a you know how Batman did that with the bat dance type of thing.
Yeah. I like that.
That could be it. Like, I'm a little whatever. Anyhow, that just cracks me up thinking about that. What were we talking about, Molly?
So she wants to know, do you have any tips for mitigating fights in a shelter environment?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that you want to look at is the environment itself. Can you expand vertically? You know, you want to, in the language of the cat superhighway, which is, if you've watched My Cat from Hell, I talk about the cat superhighway to no end. And when you got to make sure that your shelter is catified, that it works for the cats on every level. When I say every level, do you have the floor? Do you have chair level? Do you have bookcase level? Do you have ceiling level? Do you have 4 lanes of traffic that can mitigate the traffic surge that you have in your shelter? If you don't, get cracking, because that's exactly what you got to do. Is you got to make sure these cats have massive personal bubble issues, and you got to make sure you're appreciating those bubbles. I mean, you hit critical mass in your shelter, you know, the cats are going to let you know. There's no way around that. The other thing that you can do is structure playtime for your cats. I mean, direct your volunteers. Your volunteers have no business, and this is just me, volunteers have no business walking in, brushing, loving, hugging, you know, and then onward. Get energy out. Don't forget, in a high-stress situation like that, you're putting energy into the cat when you pet, love. They're filling them with that cat static, you know what I'm saying? And then you leave the room, and kaboom, off goes the grenade, and they're flying all over the place. So the best thing that you can do is make sure that your volunteers are versed in cat play. Don't make that assumption, because let me tell you something. I do shelter programs all over the country, and I got to teach a lot of people how to properly play with cats. So don't make that assumption. Those are the two things I can tell you right off the bat that are going to help you guys tremendously. Thank you for doing the work you're doing.
Cool. All right, we've got another comment question here. This is from a user called Feliciano Cookie. That's a cool username. Feliciano Cookie. They say, how can I keep my cat from going places that she's not allowed without luring her out with treats? I'm concerned that that is giving her the wrong idea, and she thinks that going in there is a good idea. Going in there is how you get the treats.
Going where?
She's going in places that she's not allowed, sneaking around and getting into trouble, and I guess she's trying to lure her out with treats. But
yeah, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. No, it's a little vague. I mean, you know, if your cat wants in someplace, they want in someplace for a reason. From what I'm hearing, is that's where the food is. Mm-hmm. So if you're keeping all the food in one area, then you can't blame your cat for wanting to get in that area. If you haven't child-proofed the cabinetry, there you go. I mean, cats are no different from anybody else. If they keep trying to get somewhere and it fails miserably every single time, they're going to stop. They're going to stop trying. And then, of course, the other thing is to not locate all the food in one place. Spread the wealth around. Make sure, of course, all those places are child-proofed. But that way, the whole, you know, there is no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's just little pots everywhere. And that also helps a lot. But, I mean, you know, the first thing that I ask you guys to do is ask your cat why, you know? Not why it's happening to you, but why it's so important to them. And once you discover, like we just did, that it's because of food availability, well, then we have a couple things. We have, again, meal feeding, we have decentralizing the food location, and we have child-proofing your locks, and that should help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think also the second part of her question sounds like she was saying like she's trying to get the cat to come out of a hiding place by luring it out with food, and then she's wondering if that's a bad idea. Like, you know, she's telling it, no, don't go back there. Here's some food to come out. Yeah. Is that giving a negative reinforcement?
Well, yeah, because you don't know if you're training in that behavior.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know, is it fear that I'm going back in this place? Do I want to be, you know, what I call a caver, a cat who wants to cave? Or have I trained you, human, that every time I go back there, you give me a reward? So you're actually, in a very strange way, training your cat to go hide in the corner. Right. So a couple things again. So I think it's a great question that you asked. Is this the wrong thing? Yeah, for sure. So the right thing is block off their availability to that space. If you don't want them in a certain place, it's up to you to make it unavailable to them. But at the same time, when you say no, there's got to be a yes behind that no. So you've got to understand why they want to go in there, what is it that's advantageous to that particular cat when they're in there, and how you can recreate that for them so that it works for you. So here's the difference. Back of the closet, that's the cat saying, I need to be a caver. A caver is an unconfident cat. A cave is an unconfident where. A confident where would be what I call a cocoon, which is, for instance, you know, whatever. I should just find something, you know. Here, hold on. All right, so if I just took this bag. Wow, that is some serious Velcro. And I take the bag, and I open it up for the cat, and I say, yeah, all right, go ahead. You can go in here. I can put this bag anywhere. I can put it in the center of the room. Cat still goes in it, feels covered and secure. I need to hide, blah, blah, blah. That's great, but it's in the center of the room. You controlled where that went, and that's a much more confident where than the closet. So, again, you want to make sure you say, no, you don't have access to this in the first place. Make sure they don't. And then once you do that, give them a yes.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, we're going to do another live question. Up next, we have Janice joining us from Lake Elizabeth, California. Let's see if she's got her, I don't know if she's got her microphone unmuted yet. Can you, oh, there we go. Can you hear us, Janice?
Hi, Jackson.
Well, hello, Janice. Where is Lake Elizabeth?
You broke up. Say that again.
I said, where is Lake Elizabeth?
It's up northwest of the Antelope Valley. It's
Oh, okay.
north and northeast of Santa Clarita. It's up in the mountains by Lake Hughes.
Okay, gotcha. Well, good. I'm glad you could be here
Not far from Lancaster.
today. Okay, now I know where you are.
But
So,
I'm up.
how can I help you today, ma'am?
Well, I got a kitten about 4 years ago from a vet's office in Palmdale, and she was 6 weeks old when I adopted her, and she had a little, like a half an inch incision on her tummy, and they assured me that she was fixed at 6 weeks old. And I brought her home, and I'm just wondering if, I mean, there are periods that she goes through where she acts like she's in heat. And I'm wondering if maybe she just had her tubes tied. Have you ever heard of anything like that going on?
No, not in. I mean, it would never happen in. I mean, it has happened. There is sort of a quasi movement to do vasectomies and tube litigations. Take her tubes to court, but that's hilarious. But I think it's a little silly, and it's very expensive, and it's not something that works for sort of a mass effort that we're trying to accomplish, and very few places do it. So I don't think. Does she not have a space car? Is that what you're saying?
She had a little. I mean, she was only 6 weeks old when I got her, and
yeah, even if she's 6 weeks old, if you have any question whatsoever, the vet shaves her tummy, and you'll see a scar, or you won't see a scar. I mean, that's pretty simple.
Yeah, she had a little like half-inch incision when I got her.
Then she had it. Not a responsible age to be spaying. I mean, 8 weeks to me is the. Wow, it's a loud plane. Sorry. 8 weeks is the bare minimum age that. And
was
cats
only 6 weeks old when I got her.
Yeah, I mean, cats need to be about 2 pounds before they can safely be spayed and neutered. So that's kind of a drag. But here's the thing that I would do: you can have a blood test done during the times that she's peaking. Have her blood done, and you can actually measure the estrogen in her system. A lot of times, even after a spay, you can still have uterine tissue still in the cat. They just didn't get the whole thing. And thinking about that, I mean, if it happened at 6 weeks old, the chances of messing something up, because no vet that I know would do a spay at 6 weeks. So if they did the spay, it stands to reason maybe they didn't do it very well. I'm taking a step there, but I would definitely do that blood test. I would definitely follow your instincts, because if she's doing the caterwauling, if she's rolling around, is she doing any of that stuff?
Yeah.
She is.
Oh yeah, not as bad, but she has her periods where she'll just go through the house at night just howling, and where you pet her on the butt and her butt goes up, and and she.
What about, have you noticed, I mean, this is a really weird question, but do you have any males coming around outside cats?
I saw a tomcat out front the other day.
There you have it. Yeah, I would get her in. Is she doing it right now?
Huh? I'm sorry, you broke up again.
I said, is she doing this behavior right now?
No, not
so
at all.
when it starts to kick up again, because it should happen every few months or so, as soon as you start seeing it, boom, you get her in there, you get that blood test done, 'cause you're probably right.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us, Janice.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to go to another comment submitted question. This one is coming from Rachel L. From Google+. She says, do you have any tips on transitioning my picky eater into an all raw meat diet? I've tried mixing it in with her wet food, and she just leaves it. And even when it's alone, she doesn't touch it at all.
Before we do that, because I got bored for a second. No, I'm kidding. But what was the last song you had stuck in your head? Because I've had a song stuck in my head all day, and I feel like if I say it, I'm gonna infect the whole world with it. But Do you remember the last song you had stuck in your head?
Oh man, I did earlier today. I had no, actually, when we were trying to test your microphone early, was that an Adele song that came on? And now that's stuck in my
That's
head.
stuck in your head now. That's where I heard it. That's where I heard it. Roll people. Yep, that's stuck now. Yeah. Okay. Well, good. Now at least I don't feel alone. Let's talk about transitioning to raw food. First of all, congratulations. This is what cats are built to eat. They are built to eat meat protein. 90% of their entire diet should be meat protein, and that includes, of course, bone, muscle, tissue, fat, the whole 9 yards. That's what they're supposed to have. Going to a raw diet that's supplemented, and that isn't to say just buy a chicken from Whole Foods and go ahead and feed it to your cat. It has to be supplemented with very specific vitamins and nutrients and things like taurine and whatever. There's a lot of different brands out there right now that are frozen. You buy them, you defrost them, you feed them, and that's pretty much it. Now, here's the trick: if they're already on a wet food diet, great. You got a home run happening right here, because you can start mixing a little bit of the raw in with the food. What I would start with, however, is you take the raw, you let it defrost, you put it in a pan, and you brown it for under a minute, just to get the smell of the food going. Don't forget, cats are so connected to their raw cat, meaning their hunter, that they prefer meat that is body temperature. Why do you think cats don't like it when you give them food out of the fridge? Because they want that body temperature food, and it's about 95 to 102 degrees right in there. So heat up the food to just about there. Unlock that smell, unlock that body temperature feel for these guys, and put a little bit of water in it, make a little bit of a gravy, and give it as a treat. So you can feed them at right before you feed their meal to see if they'll go for it. And again, you don't want to make this switch like that. You go like this, and there's going to be explosive diarrhea all over the house. I mean, it's sort of a given that if you go to the raw diet that fast, you're going to have issues.
Yeah, wouldn't want that. That does not sound good.
No, nice. You like that, don't you? I'm like looking at the camera, and I saw the look on your face when I said explosive diarrhea. Do you have animals at home?
What's that?
You have animals?
I don't. I'm not allowed animals in my apartment, but I grew up with 2 cats at home. One of them could have used your advice a long time ago, Jackson, because one of them, a girl, she was not a nice cat. She was really sweet to our family, but overall, she was a very territorial, very angry cat. And
yeah, it was a couple months ago. Cat growing up that you would love, Jackson. Contrary to popular belief, I do not like getting beat up. I do not like bleeding, although many have accused me of such masochistic behaviors. Anyhow, the other thing I was going to say about the raw food diet is that, like I said, you can do it slowly, find different flavors. Now we have everything from chicken to beef to rabbit to ostrich to elk to venison to ostrich, kangaroo, anything that you could possibly imagine. It's out there right now. You just have to sort of find it, but your cat will thank you. The chances of your cat getting diabetes will be cut dramatically if they're eating an all-wet, grain-free, or raw diet.
Yeah, gotcha. So one question actually that a lot of people have been wondering about is with the new season of My Cat from Hell, do you have a favorite moment from the season, anything that kind of stood out now that you've been doing it for so long? Was there anything crazy that happened this year?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of crazy, but I got to tell you, I just got back from Portland, having worked with the famous 911 cat, the cat.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
I just worked with Lux the cat, and that was a pretty remarkable time, and I can't tell you any more than that. Most likely you're going to find out in just a few weeks. I think the episode will be airing the 3rd week in May, perhaps. But please keep posted here. We're going to let you know. But it is a pretty special episode, and I mean, as it is now, we have now passed 105 cases worked on My Cat from Hell in 5 seasons. That's 105 cases. That's a tremendous amount. And out of those 105, Lux is really standing out as one of the ones that really tested me the most. And that's not just on a cat guy level, but a human level as well.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Was there anything that maybe people don't know about from like past seasons that was kind of crazy? Like anything that among all the chaos of all the seasons that still stands out in your memory?
Oh yeah, no, there's a few that now here's the funny thing. I can tell you who stands out to the rest of the world because there are certain cases. Whenever I do live talks, there's always a question about one case or another. So the first one is now, of course, I can never remember their names. Forgive me, but the mother-daughter combination, Mariah, her mom. The cats were all starting with M and dog. They had the two little dogs painting the nails of the dogs, putting them in sundresses, wheeling them around. The playpen, one of the biggest moments of crazy I've ever dealt with, and people always ask me about those guys, and that ranks up there. Let's just put it this way, without disparaging anybody. The first day that I was in that house, I walked out 3 separate times. 3 separate times I walked out of there, and I was like, you are lying to me. You are making this up. This doesn't exist. Like, I thought I was being punked, like 3 separate times. And clearly I wasn't. God, is that my kid? Anyway, so that was Barry saying, I don't like painting toenails. Anyhow, the second one is always about the Derek and what was her name? But Derek was the douchey boyfriend that everybody hated. The one where his cat was beating up her cat, and they had moved in together, and he found it funny that her cat was named Lita, his cat was named Buddy, and I cannot remember her name. Saved my life. Anyway, it'll come to me. Sorry, but the blessing was. I mean, after the first visit, where I was like, he was like, I don't believe in what you're doing. I don't like you very much. And I think this is all bullcrap because, my cat's cool. I think it's funny when he beats up her cat. Even though her cat was so stressed out, she was throwing up all over the house and hiding under the bed. And I had said, well, this is your homework, and I walk away going, what am I going to do? I mean, I can't, undo the douche. He is who he is. And I walk in for the second visit. He answers the door. He's like, yeah, we broke up. I'm like, oh, and I go straight to her new pad, and I work with her on getting Lita over the trauma of living with such a jerk. But it's amazing because you would imagine, just a word to the wise, if you're going to be on My Cat from Hell, I don't know, you may not want to look like the biggest jerk in the world because you will have a hard time going to the supermarket for the next couple of years. Because people are going to be like, boo, you're a horrible person,
Yeah, seriously.
It happens, so it's just something you might want to look out for. But by and large, I mean, as we have graduated from season to season, you open up this casting pool. You say, hey, we will follow the story wherever you guys are. You get some crazy. Oh, yeah, this season is a whole lot of crazy.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, I think were the names you were trying to think of Derek and Ryan? Does that sound right?
Ryan. By the way, it's just to set the record straight, people, because I do watch social media. I do, tweet, and I do these things. And there is this undying rumor that me and Ryan made this like sparkly love connection on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know where you see that. Like, other than the fact that I had this little moment where we got a tattoo together. Which,
right.
And just to clear things up, getting a tattoo doesn't mean that you're like going steady or something, So, no, Ryan and I, nothing ever happened. I don't even know what the hell anyone's talking about.
Yeah.
We just got tattoos together. They were very innocent.
Yes, just to clarify, totally platonic. Totally platonic.
Totally platonic, yeah.
Wow, this is some crazy stories. Sure we could talk about that like forever. But we are going to announce the winner of the Cat Mojo swag. The winner. So if she's still watching, the winner is Kathy J from Google+.
Happy
So,
Jay.
oh, yeah,
Happy Jay.
Yep.
Nice one, Happy Jay.
Whatever. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. So, Kathy, if you're still watching, email us at Jackson Galaxy Hangouts. So Jackson Galaxy, one word, and then Hangouts, HANGOUTS. Almost forgot how to spell Hangouts. At gmail.com with your name and your mailing address, so we can mail you all of this swag.
And also, Happy Jay. Don't forget to let us know what you would like me to write on the fat shirt, and I will write it right here. I'll sign my name to it, and you will be the proud owner of a fat shirt.
Awesome. Personalized.
Worn on, my cat from hell.
There we go. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up. If there's anything else you want to tell everybody before you go, yeah.
Well, I mean, just so you guys know, we're in the midst of kitten season right now, meaning kittens are actually getting out there, getting adopted. Folks, get out there. Go and adopt an animal today, because we are in a really bad way. Most of the shelters in this country right now are bursting at the seams because of the influx of kittens and puppies. And the bad part is, when we have a lot of kittens and puppies, people only adopt the kittens and puppies. So think about how you can increase the mojo just a little bit. Do what you can to get an animal out of the shelter. Like now, there's no excuse to do anything but adopt. Don't forget to spay and neuter your animals. I mean, for reals. We can't afford not to have that happen. The other thing I wanted to announce was that we have a few events coming up that I'm excited about. Of course, I don't have the exact dates, but if you go to my website, you'll find the exact dates. At the end of May, I'll be doing the keynote address at the Humane Society of the United States Expo. Now, if you're not involved in HSUS or any of the shelters that are involved there, you can't see that. But if you do work at a shelter, if you guys are going to Expo, I am so psyched to represent and to give you guys a nice talking to. And also, August 2nd, I believe, or 3rd, we're going to be in New York City. Details to be announced, but it's the Cats Uncaged tour, produced in conjunction with Cats Are Cool, Greater Good. We're going to have a good time in New York. We are going to just make the adoption thing happen there. We're going to give some rah-rahs to the shelter. It's going to be a good time. So just keep that open in August. Otherwise, watch My Cat from Hell. Don't forget, I'll be live tweeting both this week, next week at least. And if you hashtag Team Cat Mojo, if you hashtag My Cat from Hell, or if you hashtag Meow, I'll see it.
Awesome. And just while we're on that social media front, just going to remind everybody to like Animalist on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Animalists. And then you can watch Jackson's show, Cat Mojo, on his YouTube channel, youtube.com/JacksonGalaxy, or on animalist.com/CatMojo. New episodes are every Monday.
And don't forget, coming up next Monday, we're going to talk about, I had asked you guys for your homework to tell me the most random things that your cat had ever done, and we were going to take the cat journalist approach to fixing that. We are going to talk about what those most random things are, and some of them are pretty random. So don't forget what Molly said. Check out Animalist and check out Cat Mojo every Monday night.
Cool. Well, it was great to join you for this. Really glad we got to do this, and we'll do another one next month.
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks, Jackson.